But anyway, these are the VVIPs, Doc.
Nice.
This is the backbone of what makes the Yankee things work, which is the season ticket holders of the premium level, and also they're very committed, which is we're always very grateful. I'm one of those people myself.
You're not committed.
I am.
Okay.
I got my legends. Matter of fact, I've had my legends since day one, and I've had my legends before legends were legends back in the old stadium in the first row. And I have no listen. I've told my wife she's the priority. The kids are next, and then my legend tickets come after that. If the house has to go, it has to go. But I can't afford to give up the legends. So
You used to hang out over the dugout. What are you talking about?
exactly. I got my priorities straight, and the priorities mean I need to be in the first row of Yankee Stadium or second row, because I get such joy from that. But also the season ticket premium. Some of the people back there, they do. There's nobody that takes care of me. I feel like in any business that I spend money at, like the way they take care of me here, and that's one of the things that I love coming here because I know they got me. And I think if all of you probably would agree, I mean, there's nobody that takes better. There's nobody that gives you the service like you get it here. But anyway,
Well, of course, it's
we
the
could
Yankees,
we
man.
could get you some season ticket legends. I can hook you up with them afterwards. But on the business of baseball, first of all, what do you think about this series? I mean, has it lost a little luster, or is it just fun, just beating the hell out of the Mets?
Well, I mean, it's always fun. The Subway Series is always great for New York because they get to have bragging rights at the end of the weekend. So,
Did you have a little swag, a little edge when you got into these series? Did it mean a little more to you?
I only played in one. I didn't play in many, and I wish we'd have had it back in the days that we were coming up. The only time we really got to play the Yankees were in spring training, like a spring training game or
Mayor
the last
Trophy game.
Mayor Trophy game, and I remember hitting the ball for Dave LaPointe out of the stadium almost. So I never forget
train tracks.
the train
I remember
tracks.
that.
You're
So
not
that's
kidding.
No, I'm not kidding. I mean, that was the only time, man. I can remember
You took Dave LaPointe to the train tracks?
cross the train tracks over. He'll remember that. He always remind me about that.
But you hit a lot of crazy home runs. What was probably the craziest home run you ever hit?
Probably off the clock in St. Louis because we were in that series and it was a 1-0 shutout. Darryl goes on to win that game, and Ken Daly hangs the breaking ball, and I hit it off the clock and then broke the clock in St. Louis because they didn't really like us. They called us a bunch of pond scums, back in those days. So, we had to deal with that a lot going to St. Louis. And
So it wasn't a good idea getting you guys pissed off.
no, it wasn't a good idea to get us pissed off. So we were pretty good at that time.
Talking about back in those days, and I always say, when I think of Doc, I think of the no hitter and that emotion of that day. But before that, I mean, did you ever see a city stop when he was pitching back when he first came up? I mean, was that a lot of pressure on you? Were you like excited about it? You were going back to your rookie year when you won Rookie of the Year.
Well, for me, it was, you just out doing a job, doing something that you enjoy doing as a kid, living a dream. You're not really aware of what's really going on around you, just having fun and, competing against guys that I idolized as a kid. And you're not really thinking about, the solid crowd, but the fans, you guys gave me a lot of energy when I would pitch. With 2 strikes, everybody started clapping, one of the strikeouts. Basically put the pressure on the hitters and the umpire, because umpire didn't want to get booed if he didn't call a close pitch a strike. But, I was just doing something I love. And you're not aware of that, what's going on until after the season. Then you look back at it.
I got to ask you, are you guys playing nice together? You getting along? You hear all these things and stories over here.
Stop it,
Are you
Brandon.
in the sandbox getting along?
We wouldn't
nice
be here.
and
We
nice,
wouldn't be
or-
here if we wasn't. What are you talking about?
We're all kind of singing "Kumbaya" right now. Everything's good.
Wow.
You guys are all lovers, and
Well, it's
everything's
just
good.
like Brandon. It's just like brothers. You live together, and what do? Fight, right? I mean, when we were teammates, different guys you fight with, but we love each other, once we come together, regardless of no matter what, and so it's just it's part of life. I mean, like you never had fights with. Look at all the guys you had fights with. It's
Still
just never
fighting
go
with my
public.
brothers.
That's all,
yeah,
right?
I'm still fighting with my brothers. There's no question. But what does it mean to be a Yankee? I mean, you had great Met careers, but what did it mean? What was the difference as you transferred into the pinstripes and played in the Bronx? And what did Mr. George Steinbrenner mean to you?
Oh my God! I mean, that's like what I have to say. I'm always grateful for the boss. I'm always grateful for how he cared about people, not just me and Doc, but just people, and who he was. I think a lot of people never really talked about all the different things he did outside of just baseball. Of course, he loved his players. It didn't matter what anyone had to say about his players or whoever he was bringing over to the Yankees, and what can you say? Those times that we came over and played with the Yankees, it was all about winning. We had Joe Torre, and we had a good group of guys, and all of us loved each other and cared for each other and respected each other. But the most important thing that I think about the boss more than anything is his heart. And of course, when I got a chance to sit down and talk with him, and I had troubles, and he was telling me, "You're not the only one who had troubles." He goes, "I had trouble. They suspended me from baseball." So so it's like, it was pretty cool to hear from somebody, of an owner, saying something like that, because most of us always pretend like we don't have some struggles, some issues in life, and something we don't have to deal with. And he just reminded me how, dealing with life is real, and how to be an overcomer, fight, don't quit, don't give up. And George was like a father to me. He was like a father to Doc. He was like a father to many. And I can remember the day of his passing, how sad. I was like, how sad for New York City to lose such an icon. They don't really know until he's really gone what it's going to mean, to the Yankee family and the Yankee organization in New York City. So I'm always grateful for him, and I thank him for the opportunity to bring me over to the Yankees. And pinstripes, love the pinstripes.
Same thing. I remark what he said. George, the thing about it, he was tough. Everything you guys hear about George, he wanted to win. But the main thing is, like Darryl mentioned, he cared more about you as a person and your family. That was first. As long as you're okay, and everything else came second. I mean, he was a fan. He wanted to win. He was a winner, and he expected you to win. He'll put you in the best situation to succeed. So if he got on you, obviously you deserve to be gotten on, whether it's the players, coaches, fans, what have you. And I think he should be in the Hall of Fame. Me personally, I mean, when his owner, once he took over the team in '73, like you said, not only were the Yankees miss him and the players, former players, but just baseball in general. There's never be another guy like George Steiner. They got criticized a lot. They say, "Oh, he's buying pennants, he's bringing guys in," but basically, it was putting a good product back on the field for the fans, where other owners could have did the same thing, but they was pocketing money, where George was putting it back into the team.
Well, it takes money to make money, and he certainly understood that. And he always ran this team as a team, but also as a business. Probably did it better than anybody, winning so many awards for his front office achievements. People don't realize. As a student back in my day, I was constantly studying the way they did things here from a management standpoint. How'd you pitch a no-hitter? I mean, you had no-hitter stuff the whole first part of your career. Never did put together a no-hitter.
Right.
But then all of a sudden, you pitched that no-hitter. Take me through that day. Why was that day different than all other days?
I tell you what, that game was actually, like, I always say, like, a lot of times, like you said, I should have probably pitched no-hitter earlier in my career with the Mets. It didn't happen, but it was meant to be that day. I'll tell you why. My dad, who basically taught me the game of baseball, he was my idol growing up, and he had been on Dodgers for 15 years. And the next day, I thought he was having open-heart surgery while I was supposed to fly home to be with him. They didn't think he was going to make it because of his health, and they said if he didn't have the surgery, he definitely wouldn't make it. Having the surgery was a guarantee he was going to make it, but then that morning I thought he'll probably want me to pitch. So the first round of that game, I'm thinking, should I be with my father? Or should I be pitching? So I never really got into the game until like the sixth inning. You look at the scoreboard, you see no runs, no hits, no errors. So then I was able to focus on the game, put my dad aside, and then obviously pitch a no-hitter. After being out of baseball the whole 95 season, starting the season in 96, 0-3, basically being benched. When you hear a pitcher being benched, I mean, you don't pitch if you're up 10 runs or you're down 10 runs. Torrey basically benched me until David Cohn got the aneurysm. That's how I got back into the rotation. So from the sixth inning on, I was able to block everything out, pitch a no-hitter. They go home the next day, give my dad the ball. And unfortunately, he never got out of the hospital. He ended up passing away. But the last game he saw me pitch was no-hitter, so that was definitely a higher power, greater than myself to do that because
Who caught that no-hitter?
the stuff I had, Joe Girardi.
Anything he tell you during that game at all? Was there a lot of conversation? He was kind of a quiet, silent assassin back there calling a good game.
I guess it was the best game he ever called out of a pitch, thrown to. But no, I'm just kidding. Basically, the first inning, I just went with what he was calling. Not until after the sixth inning we started kind of communicating more and talking about what we want to do. Because the last inning, I was basically gassed. I had nothing left. And I remember Mel Stoudemire, who was the pitching coach, came to the mound the ninth inning. We had two guys on base, and the score was 2-0. And he said, "How you doing?" I said, "It didn't matter. I'm not coming out." But once you get that close, you got to go for it.
So you told Mel you're not coming out?
I'm not coming out, no.
And what did he say?
He just turned around and walked back to the dugout. That was it. Just said, "Go for it."
So was that short a conversation?
Yes.
Were people talking to you in the dugout, or was it kind of quiet in there?
It was quiet. Nobody's talking. Like this whole thing. Baseball players are very superstitious, but you're aware of what's going on. And then it was more shocking to me that it was actually Seattle who had a good hitting team. Then that's why I say that was all God doing. That wasn't me that game because I was basically done. To be honest with you.
Now, do you have that kind of faith? Do you believe that there's a higher power, and sometimes that things are just meant to be that have nothing almost to do with What you doing?
Oh, no, I definitely believe that. That's the reason I'm still here. You know, people have lost their life doing a lot less than I've done. You know, so it's definitely I'm still here for a purpose. So I definitely believe in a higher power, no doubt about it.
Darryl, how do you keep going? You've had like 9 lives and you know, I mean, cancer, I mean, all kinds of things. You've been in jail. Yet, how do you do the work you're doing now? Explain to me the work you're doing now and where the motivation, inspiration comes to do it. Because, I mean, you've actually become now a figure out around the country, and you actually seem to be on a mission to try to help and save people. Explain to me that.
Well, I mean, it's just grace. Grace that I don't deserve. I wake up every day, I'm grateful, thankful, not for just being a baseball player, but for becoming a man, you know, and really coming into purpose of life and why we're created. And you learn. Life lessons you learn. Either you learn or you don't. And there's, you know, being a celebrity, and celebrity lives are so public, and they really can't make mistakes, you know, in the public eyes, because everybody's going to, you know, wonder why they're making mistakes. Well, we're human beings just like everybody else. We got problems, we got issues, and you come from brokenness, you're empty on the inside. So I've learned so much. I've learned so much through my journey of what's the importance of life and who am I. And then after taking off the uniform, I learned that I had to become a man. And I'm grateful for the fact that my wife, Tracy, today made me understand that I needed to take the uniform off and not identify myself as a baseball player, and identify myself as a man. And you know, I've been able to grow, you know, from my pain. You know, my pain was great. My pain led me to
Where'd that pain come from?
That pain come from brokenness, broken home, emptiness on the inside. You know, everybody saw me doing well as a baseball player, but my father was an alcoholic, and I never had him in my life. He never saw me play Little League, and there was an emptiness, and my pain led me to my greatness, but my greatness would eventually lead me to my destructive behavior, because if I never get well on the inside, I'm still the same person. So I'm still empty. And I've just been able to do some incredible things. You know, I'm a pastor now. I'm an evangelist. I travel the country. I just left Jerusalem. I was there for 16 days and spent an incredible time in the Holy Land, and just get to experience some real unique things that you can never
converted
experience.
to Judaism?
I got a chance to experience the Holy Land.
Okay, I just want to make sure I got that clear.
You know? Well, I just tell you this: the people in Jerusalem are amazing. The Jewish people, the community, and they're amazing. I'm going back next year. It's an incredible experience in life, and that I would encourage everybody to go see for themselves, and not be afraid of, you know, the Palestinians and the Jordanians on the other side. And you know, it's just an incredible time to experience real life, instead of sitting around and believing that this is just it. You know, you go out of the country and you see something so totally different, and people live a different way, and it's incredible to experience that. And I had the greatest experience, you know, because that's the Holy Land, that's the holy people, and I'm grateful that I got a chance to do that.
Were you praying at the Holy Wall? You went for the whole.
You didn't see it on my Instagram?
I will
I
now.
went to I went to the Western Wall. I went inside with the Orthodox Jews, and I went to the wall, had my yarmulke on, you know, and I was all that, man, in a bag of chips, just like I was when I was a baseball player.
Tell me, what's the most important thing you learned that you carry over into your life now from baseball?
Well, I learned, the most important thing I learned is I'm not that important. We're not that important. What's important in life is to make a difference in someone else's life. When you have experienced challenges in life like I have, and brokenness in life, and there's so many people that are experiencing the same thing that I've experienced. I've learned to go back and help somebody else. Give yourself away. Lay yourself down and go back and give somebody your experience, strength, and hope to help them. America's in the crisis of epidemic of brokenness, of opiates and heroin addiction today. We got more young kids dying every day.
150 a day?
Yes, like never before across America. And I get to go and meet with attorney generals and governors in the states and try to help them mobilize, you know, the church to get involved, to help what's happening to our country and what's happening to our kids. And you know, we could look at being at a baseball game, and yeah, it's fun to go there, but there's real problems out there, and there's real solutions, and the real solutions are real people. And that's what we have to remember. Giving back, I mean, it's such a gift. It's such a free gift. It doesn't cost you anything to give back, to help somebody else and make a difference in someone else.
So baseball wasn't your destination. It was your transportation to doing something far greater?
I think baseball was the platform
Okay.
of giving me the platform that I have now, that have the opportunity to travel like I do, and minister and travel across the country and preach in front of thousands of people. It's such a different level. You know, the platform of being a baseball player draws them there, of course, but what they come to hear is not baseball. You know, they come to hear a life and that's been transformed and changed forever, and to give back and love people. Loving people is real. It's not just looking at people and seeing people from, you know, their faults, because we all have them. I don't remember Bible telling all of us falling short, you know, so I don't remember just some of us falling short. We all fall short in areas of life, and we need help. We need encouragement, and that's what we need to always remember. People are important, and people's lives matter, no matter what they go through.
Love has to be like the international currency. That's how I look at it. But also, you know, I always remember Joe Torre's quote, you know, sacrifice is more than just a punt.
Right.
And that was like one of my, you know, he
You
goes on a
understand
whole,
what that means?
It means you got to give up more of yourself than worrying about the stats and worrying about just the big home run or the big money grab.
Exactly. I mean,
I get it.
It's how you win. You know, you win by when you're able to sacrifice your own self and do something
For someone else.
And
expect nothing back.
Don't want nothing back. You know, just want to be able to see the joy of someone else come to life and experience happiness and joy in life.
I can't talk enough about spiritual with you. I could go hours. I love it. Thank you. Doc, how are you doing? And we're going to open up to some Q&A, but how are you doing? We're live on, I forgot to tell you guys, we're live on Facebook. So,
Facebook Live, what's up?
Facebook,
we'll give away some balls if you like it. Share it, by the way. Some signed balls. You guys are going to sign some balls to give away if you go on Facebook and like it. But how are you doing? What's keeping you, you know, what's keeping you busy? What's keeping you up at night, or what's getting you excited in the morning when you wake up?
I think it's good. I
All those
sleep
kids
well
you
at night.
got.
Yeah.
How many kids? I mean, if we
Well,
need to
that
take off my
course
shoes
is
for this count, or
I have 7 kids, 5 grandkids.
Good
But-
to cover that.
It's only 2 ex-wives with the kids. A lot of times, I must say, when a black man says 7 kids, it's at least 6 or 7 baby mamas. You know what I'm saying?
So you've minimized
That's the truth.
baby
That's the
mama
truth. I'm just
concept.
being honest.
All right,
No,
that's
this is
fair.
2 wives, but no, 7 kids, 5 kids.
That's
Yeah.
sure to keep track of all that.
It's great to be in my kids' lives. Have a great relationship now, a real relationship, because many times they could have just walked away, you know, from my struggles and my ups and downs. But today, everything's great. I have no complaints. I'm healthy, feel good. Just going a day at a time.
Cool. All right, I'm sure some questions from the audience or from Facebook. Ben, if you got a couple, we'll start.
I have another question for the I was in Texas with Boston fans yesterday, and I told them about this day, and I happened to have been at the 7th game of the 1986 World Series, which was just unbelievably exciting time for so thank you for that.
Thank you guys. You guys gave us a lot of energy that year. It was great with the curtain calls and just being there to sell out crowds. We used to feed off of you guys. I know I did. It was great.
Yeah, baseball was fun. I mean, a lot of people didn't like us because we play in New York. Even Mets, Yankees, you play in New York, fans don't really like you. In Boston, they suck anyway. Where is Facebook? Yeah, they need to know that we don't like them. But I got to go up to Boston a lot. My daughter goes to Boston College now, so got to be careful what I say. But baseball fans are, New York fans are amazing. Truly grateful for you guys. Always there, always supporting, always loving. And no matter what I've been through, what Doc been through, you just don't get that anywhere else. A lot of places, have a tendency of pointing fingers at athletes and, their troubles. And New York is really a lot different than that. And we really appreciate that more than you guys can ever imagine.
Any other questions?
How you doing? I have 2 questions, if it's all right. Who's the most disciplined ball player you guys have worked with, either in today's game or you guys are playing? And what do you think the biggest differences are between today's game and the game back in the day?
Probably the most disciplined player. Wow.
Not Lenny Dykstra.
Actually, I'd probably say Derek Jeter, probably. He wasn't, to me, he wasn't like the best hitter for his average. He wasn't the most, he didn't have the most power. He wasn't the best defensive player. But you put them all together, he came to play every day. He was definitely prepared every day, true professional. And the thing I admire most about him, in '96 we played with him his rookie year, and then when I came back in 2000, he was the same guy. Where a lot of people, they have, a lot of good things happen, and then unfortunately they change towards people, towards family. He's the same guy. So I'll probably say the most prepared, I would say Jeter. And today's game, today's game has changed a lot with the analytics. Now everything is punching numbers. Obviously the replays, pitch counts, stuff like that's changed. So I don't know if it's changed for the best of the game, but a lot of stuff. I wouldn't be happy coming out of the game after the 5th or 6th inning, me personally.
Because your pitch count was high, you had to come out, you would have gone crazy, or you would have been?
Well, the thing is, I don't understand. It's like the pitchers, they said we don't want to face in the lineup the third time around. But if he's gotten to that point and he's only given 1 run, his pitch count's down, why not? Because he's already showed you he's a pitch. When you bring a guy in, you don't know what he's going to give you.
Should the fact that it's a hot, humid day play into effect of how hard those outs were to get? Does that stuff come into play, or is it?
I think more so, when you're a professional baseball player, we're blessed to be, you should be prepared for that. That's what you're trained for. But I think it depends on more of just stressful pitching. If each inning you're pitching out of jams with men on second and third, or if it's just foul balls, you're getting a lot of strikeouts and your pitch counts up that way. I think it's a difference of 100 pitches in 3 innings or 100 pitches in 7 innings.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah, I would say Jeter and Carter are probably the most 2 impressive players I ever seen with great character. The way they prepared themselves for the games and just the way they prepared themselves in life. They didn't change, they didn't waver. This life can be consumed with so many different things and so many temptations. And I got a chance to see Carter when I played with the Mets. I got to see him live such a life, of just, really clean life, with a team that was full of animals, and at the time we were all young and crazy over there in Queens, and he was a family man. He was really righteous, and he lived the right way. And I really admired him for that, and that's what I really wanted to live like. Just didn't know how, and I really respected him for that because he was already a star, but he didn't treat himself like a star, and he didn't treat others. He didn't look at none of us and point the fingers at none of us. He just loved us all right where we're at. Jeter was a young guy that came up, and I saw him in '95, and I knew he was going to be a star. And like Doc said, he played 96, 90, those teams I played on. He never changed. That's one thing I can say about him. His character, who he was, he never changed until the end of who he was. He just never changed, and you admire that from a guy that start to finish that can do that. And he was so young, and he was so good looking. And he was so smart.
A little man love there.
Yeah. He was so smart. He never got married. He was smart. He just played baseball and lived the way he was supposed to live. And you never saw any headline story. 20 years, in New York. How do you do that? And never get in the papers, never get headlines for doing anything wrong. So I really admire him for that, and just the class act. Person he was, not just a player, but the person he was and the way he conducted himself.
Do you think that, when I look at the '98 season, a special season, a lot of religion, a lot of born again Christians in that clubhouse? When you think about it, did that play a role? The fact that there was a lot of God fearing men on that team.
Well, I wouldn't say that. The team was a team of class. Brocious was just a class act. He just quiet and came to work and did his job and went home and was with his family, and that's what, hopefully, that's what sports should be about. But, they don't allow you to see that kind of coming in as a young player. They just like, when you come in, they just like, here, you can have whatever you want. You could do whatever you want. And, because you play Major League Baseball, and there was no rules, and that's what it was for me and Doc. We were so young, and there was no rules, and there was nothing set up, to protect you and safeguard you. And I think as you get older, and that team had a bunch of older, different players who had been around and understood how to play together and how to win together. But Jeter was different. He was separate from all players I ever seen because of the respect that he had for people and the respect that he had for the game. I'd never seen a guy that young having respect for people, because I know if someone would have said something crazy about me, like A-Rod said something crazy, I'd have punched him in the mouth. But I'm just saying, Jeter didn't do that. I know when guys said something about me, I was in their throat, grabbing them by their throat when I was young like that. So you admire that when you see a guy at that age and play on this stage. And do what he has done, what was able to do with all the pressure of being Derek Jeter. I mean, he did it well. He did it right, and I admire him for that.
You like this team right now? We have a game today. I'm curious, like your take. Does this team surprise you? Does it remind you a little bit of '85 or '96 with the youth and the combination of youth and older veterans?
Now, why are you going to ask me that question? You know I don't like baseball anymore.
But we could still talk about this team, and that's what makes this team special. Even if you don't love baseball, you love this team.
Well, I mean, I love New York teams. I root for the New York teams all the time because I'm a New Yorker, and that's important. And I hope the New York teams do well in all sports because it's home for me. Of course, the Yankees are much better than the Mets.
Maybe it's just time for me to get you a seat today at the game, even though it's hard to get a ticket these days. I probably can get you one. Sit down and watch 9 innings of Yankee baseball because you won't be disappointed.
Well, I know they're good.
No. That good was that was like last year before. This team is special.
Yeah, I know
has
they're
got
good,
the
but you got to
special
remember
sauce.
the teams that we had a chance to play on. The '96 team was a team that
Special?
were very special. But the
Doc special?
yeah,
96, yes.
'98 team was great. You know, you go back and look at that '98 Yankee team. That was an incredible team. That team reminded me of the '86 team that we had.
This team we have now reminds me of that '98 team. They expect to win every game, and you're not sure how the hell they're even going to do it, but it just happens.
Well,
1-9.
and that's good. And you're supposed to think like that. But you know what has to happen, Brandon?
Tell me.
You got to win. You can talk about it all we want, you know, but if you don't win, you know, that means nothing how good you were because we had great teams. We lost '88. We lost to the Dodgers in the playoffs '88. We had a better team than them. Mike Sosa hits a home run off of Doc Gooden. How does that ever happen?
I was there crying, and that rain delay. I mean, God was God. God was wearing his Dodger uniform that day, no question, because that series was insane, and I had all my money on you guys on that, and that was a disaster. And then, I mean, I was just in this disaster, because that was probably the beginning of the end for you guys really there, which probably is a blessing, because if that doesn't happen, maybe you guys don't end up here.
Well,
And
yeah,
Kirk Gibson hanging out in the locker room and limping, and with that, I mean, crazy. But that stuff doesn't happen without a little faith from above. But my feeling about this team is this is going to be a faith or fear year, and if you have the faith, this team can get the faith right, because it's got the talent right. There's no stopping it, because there's the fear: are we going to win the division? We're worrying about the Red Sox, but it really just needs to worry about itself. This team is as good as anybody's got in quite a while.
Well, we can say that because me and
Do you
Doc
want
played.
that seat?
Me
So
and Doc
we
played.
can watch the game together today.
We played on some good teams, man. I'm telling you, we played on some good teams. And our '88 team was better than our '86 team, and we didn't win.
I could ask Rose to find you a ticket today for the game, and she'd do that for you.
You asked me a question about the team. Now you're talking about the seat.
Well, you know what? I picked up on did you all pick up on that? The fact that he really isn't watching Yankee baseball the way you should be watching. And
No, I
once-
didn't say Yankee baseball. I said I love the New York teams. I said I don't follow baseball.
All right. I just want to make sure you got your priorities in order. God, faith, helping people, watching Yankee baseball.
I mean, I love the Yankees. Don't get me wrong.
All
I
right.
love the Yankees. I love the Mets too. I love New York. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love New York City. I love everything
You
about
really
it.
love the Mets still?
Well, I'm a homegrown Met player, and we were pretty good back in the '80s. It wasn't,
So you found a little love back for the Mets. I haven't.
Yes, I have. I have. Okay.
All right.
I got a softer place in my heart. than
You found
Paul.
mercy.
Yeah.
All right. I'm not finding a mercy for them today. We need a win today. Some other questions. We got sidetracked. Sorry. Some other questions. I have a good feeling about today. Yeah. I don't know.
Sonny Gray.
Sonny Gray?
That's bad, right?
Faith, not fear. And if we move this game along, I'd like to get home by dinner time. We'll be fine. We'll be all right.
Okay, that's bad. You don't even know who pitching you. You're talking about him like you know everything about him. Now you don't even know who's on
I'm
the
a
mound.
fan. I know enough about them. This is my 20th game this season I've been at, and we're just getting
I don't
started.
care if it's your first game of the season. You're supposed to know who's pitching when you walk in the ballpark.
Really?
Or before you get to the ballpark.
Maybe. I have confidence in all my pitchers.
Well, maybe. when you walked in Shea Stadium and you knew who was pitching when number 16 was on the mound.
There's
You
no
knew that.
question. The whole city stopped. And that's the thing I can't get over, like, and be blessed to be a part of that little run, is that the city would stop. It was not only like, every bar, sports bar, everybody was just wanting to see what you were going to do. If it was going to be a cutter, whether it was going to be that drop dead curve or you were going to throw the heat. That's the first time we had seen that. I had seen that kind of combination of, you don't know what was coming at you. A lot of frozen hitters. It's just amazing, and I miss those days. That stop and watch. That was like a work of art for you.
It's fun. The Yankees got a pitcher like that now, I think.
Well,
No. Doc, don't lie, man. Doc, he's lying.
you gotta like him.
Pretty good, right?
Huh?
Severino's pretty good,
But
right?
he's not like, no,
I mean,
come on,
that's
Doc.
different, but I mean,
You have not seen a
I'm just
pitcher
saying the way
like
the game
this
is-
Some
guy.
time. He's young.
They've never seen a pitcher like this guy when he was 19, 20 years old.
With age, yeah.
If he
he's
wasn't
young.
born, you go back and look at some highlights. You never see. It was so boring playing for him because he never let anybody get hits. You know, you're just standing outfield like, Doc, get some action up. It's like, to play behind that because they were always comparing different guys, were just like him. I was like, there's no way. I got to see it firsthand every day, running out there playing for him. 19 years old, rookie of the year. I was 83, he was 84. But that Cy Young year, he had a 1.53.
153, yeah.
1.53. What do you
Give
go?
or take.
24 and
24-4.
24 and 4. I've
You know
never
the
seen
game that I
nothing
won
like
20
it.
games was they hit 20 run. You know that?
Yeah.
That sounds like a
Baseball fan, you
collectible
said
to
no.
me. That sounds like a collectible opportunity.
See?
Yes.
That's cool.
But I never seen nobody as young as him to have such great command, because it took great command at the major league level to pitch. And he was 24 and 4 that year, and it was just like, your jaw just dropped after every game. It was punch out.
One quick question. In '98,
Yes.
a very odd season for you with your health and everything. When did you? How long were you playing while you were sick, and what was going on during that season that kind of kept you going? And was it tough to get yourself out of that lineup because the team was on such a good roll?
Well, it was a good team, man. I had no idea I was sick. I just knew I was losing weight, and I knew I had stomach cramps a lot. And you're an athlete, you don't talk about your problems. You just keep playing. And I used to always have stomach cramps sometime, and I would just come to the ballpark and drink Malox. It's just the way we are. The way we built. There, who knew at the end of the year when I go in September, I had blood in my stool all the time, and I just finally said, okay, I'm gonna go and have the doctor check me, and there it was. Found out I had a tumor, and it was cancer in the colon. And he said, I'm so lucky. He said, I remember the doctor when he cut me open, and he told me after he cut me open, he said, the tumor was in one place. He said, but I was in such great shape, my abs kept the tumor in one place. And that's a miracle within itself. He said, because, I could have swung, or could have slid, or anything, and that tumor could have burst open, and the cancer would have spread it throughout my whole body. He said, but your abs were so good, it just kept the tumor right there in the colon, and it held it. So
That's like a miracle.
yeah, and I had to go back. I lost my left kidney in the second surgery, because it reoccurred. Cancer reoccurred before 5 years. I was in the 5-year window. Will it return? And it returned, and then another tumor came under the left kidney, and they had to remove that, a healthy kidney, because of the tumor was under.
You guys have won a lot of world championships, obviously, between the two of you. Really, it's amazing. Is there one that stands out? Or better yet, what's the common denominator to winning? What's the secret to the sauce to winning? When you look at all those teams, was there one constant that kind of brings you to winning on that level?
First, you had the players, and then I think the chemistry. Everybody talk about chemistry. It's not a big deal, but chemistry plays a big part. I'll tell you, in '86, our team would, say if we played in Chicago, 25-man roster, you fly into Chicago, you check in the hotel, you call your wives, girlfriends, what have you, and then out of 25 guys, at least 20 of us meet back downstairs to go out to eat and then hit the town.
You guys traveled heavy.
Yes.
No,
Yes,
I never went out with you guys back in those days, and one or two guys came.
Right.
You invited one or two guys, and
that-
20 came.
Oh, yeah, because you get to know
Especially if I
guys
was picking up
personally
the
off the
tab.
field, and everybody had each other back. Not that you
Yeah.
got along with everybody at a certain time, but everybody was together.
So that's a big factor.
Big factor. When you come to play, we're all together. close-knit team. I think that's very important. You know, like Sunday day games here, the traffic could be bad. After Sunday games at Shea, everybody sit around, you know, talking baseball, talking about family, drinking beer, hanging out. So I think that's very important.
Yeah, I mean that's just like Doc said. You know, that's how we were. We were so close, and you know, it was the same thing with those Yankee teams that I came over and played with. It was the same way. Just a little different personality than it was with the Mets. You know, who
A
we
little
were.
less drinking.
Well, yeah, we drink.
Partying.
We're drinking a lot of milk when I was playing with the Yankees, so which was
That's
pretty
good.
good.
Milk's good.
Yeah,
But, you know, I asked Derek Jeter once, I said, you know, I think one of the reasons why the Yankees, you know, managers, Joe Torre, I thought Don Zimmer, we don't talk a lot about him, but he was huge to have him on the bench. Do you agree with that? Does the managers and the coaches, do they play somewhat of a part, or is it really just about the talent going to play, and if they play well, you win. If they don't play well, you don't win?
Well, it has to do with the manager. Joe was pretty easy, just like Davey was. You know, they just because they played the game before and they just let you play. I mean, I mean that's the way it was for me. You know, with Joe, and you know, you come to the ballpark and he just asks you how you feel, you ready to go or what. You know, he was always there. And the thing that I liked about the managers that we had with him and Davey is they never threw you under the bus to the media. You know, some managers have a tendency of throwing their players under the bus, and we never had to experience that playing with Davey or I know you didn't, I didn't.
Cool. All right, a couple of questions. We're going to do some photos, I think. We're going to have some time for you guys to take some photos. So
We're about the same age, so
they're a little older than 30. They're older than 30, though.
when you were growing up, who did you admire on the Yankee team when you were in high school or you were playing Little League?
Florida and Tampa, and at that time, Cincinnati Reds had spring training in Tampa, and so I was a Reds fan growing up. So Pete Rose was my guy growing up as a kid. Loved the Big Red Machine. I wanted to play with the Reds as I got older, but it worked out good the way things went. But Pete Rose was my main guy.
Well, my favorite Pete Rose is my favorite, but my favorite of all time, you know, Yankees is Donnie Baseball. You got a chance. Donnie's such a great guy, and you know, just I mean, he was such a great player over here, and they just wasn't, you know, the team that they could have been in winning and stuff for him. You know, and I wish they would have had it won when he was playing here because he was just an incredible player. I mean, but just like I said, he was under the radar, low key. Never talked, never hyped about himself, but you know, he played with a lot of players over here. He had to play with Ricky Henderson and all these guys, flashy guys and stuff like that. And Donnie Baseball was he was a phenomenal player. And I think a lot of people don't even understand that. They don't talk about that. They don't talk about how great he was. But he's probably one of the greatest Yankees I ever seen.
A Hall of Famer?
Yeah, he should have been in the Hall of Fame. No question about it. Not only was he just everybody looked at him as a hitter, but Donnie was a great first baseman. I think he get
11 Gold Gloves,
yeah,
I think, right?
They underestimated who he was as a first baseman and everything, and I hope one day that he will have the opportunity to get into the Hall of Fame.
Last question. Oh, yeah.
Darryl, during the course of your playing career, who were your top 2 or 3 most difficult pitchers to face and most satisfying hits? And the opposite, who were your most difficult outs?
Well, the most difficult guy facing was Nolan Ryan for me. It was just something about Nolan. I didn't really care about facing a lot of other guys, but Nolan had like this demeanor on his face, and he was big, strong country guy. He sit on that mound, and you just couldn't dig in on Nolan Ryan. It just put it like that. I would dig in on everybody else, but Nolan Ryan was probably the number one. And then this left-hander I used to face, I think nobody ever knew about him. He played with Pittsburgh. He had a hook that had me running, Rod Scurry. He had a hook. I mean, you be belling, you be getting out of there from the left-hand side. I mean, he threw it hard too, and he had a hook. But yeah, he gave me a lot of problems, and plus, you know, he was real crazy. You know, so he's scary, right? he stood up on that mound. He looked like, man, if you dig in, I'm gonna drill you right in your head. He didn't even think about it. So I mean, it was always a challenge facing Rod Scurry. I know people would say, Rod Scurry, you got to understand he was left-handed and he had a hook that just break your back.
Who are your tough outs?
My tough out, Chili Davis was my toughest guy. He was one of the guys I couldn't get out. Even on my best days, I couldn't get him out. And one thing about Chili was I couldn't admit it when I played, but now I can admit it. I don't play anymore. I hit him intentionally a couple of times, like you mentioned about Nolan pitching inside, just trying to intimidate him, but it didn't work. And even when
You
he came
hit
to
Chili Davis on purpose?
yeah, I mean trying to intimidate him to get in his head.
Who does this? I mean, you actually hit him on purpose?
Yeah, I did.
You were pissed off?
Yeah, I mean I couldn't get him out. And then when I went to Cleveland, when it was with the Yankees, I still couldn't get him out. I mean, he was the toughest guy for me.
Good hitter.
Great hitter. And Bonds was a good hitter. He didn't really hurt me with the home runs, but Bonds got a lot of hits. The guys who didn't really swing my high fastball gave me the most trouble.
I just wanted to know how, during your professional career, how did you come back from like injuries? Because what was your motivation when you got injured, and how did you come back and perform?
I needed those steroids.
We're live on Facebook.
I'm just kidding, man. No, that's a good question. How did you come back from injuries and perform? That is really good because you just never know how you're going to come back, or you come back the same. I remember I dove one time and tore my thumb, and had to miss 7 weeks, and that was really hard because then I had to wear this plastic thing protector around my thumb, and it was uncomfortable. I couldn't play with it, and had to try to make adjustments to start playing with it. And you're not the same player immediately right away when you come back from an injury like that. It's just not that simple. I think everybody think you just thrust back in there. You've been on the DL, you've been hurt, and you're gonna be the same player. You're not. It's gonna take a little time. It depends on what type of injury you have, and I see a lot of guys today. I see them having more injuries than ever because I don't think they work out the right way. I don't think they stretch.
Maybe work out too much.
Well, I don't think they stretch. I don't think they work out. I think they get too big, and a lot of guys hurt more of their legs than anything, and your legs is the most important thing. Doc will tell you that by pitching. If you don't have your legs, you're in trouble. And as a player, if you don't have your legs, you're in trouble. So it's really tough coming back from injuries because you don't know if you're going to be the same as you left. I mean, it's going to take some little time for you to get back to where you're getting.
Did those chants, Darryl, did like that, not like that? Didn't pay attention? Did it annoy you?
No, what do you think? I mean, they call my name, they call Doc's name, Boston hated us.
They were calling your name.
But that was in Boston. That's only in Boston.
All right.
We could go everywhere else. If you go to Boston, the Boston fans used to just get on my last nerve. I was like, we're going to beat you guys. We're going to beat the brakes off of you guys. You guys know what I'm talking about, right? You don't know how they are from Boston.